The Galactic Diplomatic Corps had existed for nearly 3 millennia before humanity stumbled onto the interstellar scene. Earth's admission had been contentious. Some species argued that humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable, while others pointed to humanity's remarkable adaptability and artistic achievements. In the end, Earth won admission by a narrow margin, eager to prove its worth among the stars. Ambassador Jack Fletcher stood in the gleaming atrium of the GDC headquarters on Alpha Centauri Station, admiring the collection of diplomatic gifts displayed in quantum-stabilized cases. A crystalline sculpture from the methane breathers of Titan that captured light in impossible ways. A gravity-defying mobile from the gas giant dwellers of HD 209458b that seemed to dance with conscious intent. A living tapestry from the fungal collective of Luyten's star that responded emotionally to viewers. Impressive, aren't they? The voice belonged to Ambassador XZ, KT of Tau Ceti, Fletcher's assigned mentor in galactic diplomacy. "We have nothing like this on Earth," Fletcher admitted, his voice tinged with awe and anxiety. Jack says, KT's translator produced a warm chuckle. "Every species brings unique gifts that reflect their homeworld and values. It's one of our oldest traditions, the exchange of essence, we call it. Your first official gift exchange is next month. Have you decided what Earth will present?" Fletcher nodded. Earth's delegation had debated extensively before settling on biodiversity as their cultural showcase. While human art was remarkable by Earth standards, it couldn't compete with species that had been refining their craft for thousands of years. But Earth's complex ecosystem that was truly special. "We're bringing examples of Earth's unique animal life," Fletcher announced proudly. "Our scientific community has selected specimens that showcase our planet's evolutionary diversity while being completely safe for interstellar transport." Gex says, KTA's facial appendages twitched in what Fletcher had learned to recognize as concern. "Living organisms? That's uncommonly generous. Most species exchange artistic representations or inorganic materials." "We want to make an impression," Fletcher replied. "Show the galaxy something they've never seen before." "You'll certainly accomplish that, XZ," KT said, mandibles clicking softly. "Just remember that impressions can be lasting." Fletcher laughed. "Don't worry. We've selected the most harmless creatures imaginable. What could possibly go wrong?" Fletcher couldn't have been more proud when presenting a pair of New Zealand white rabbits to the High Arbiter of Proxima b. The creatures, with their soft fur and twitching noses, had been selected for their gentleness and symbolic fertility, representing Earth's wishes for a productive relationship. "These are called rabbits," Fletcher explained as the Proximans observed the creatures through their compound eyes. "Gentle herbivores that represent peace and abundance in many Earth cultures." The Proximans, insect-like beings with iridescent exoskeletons, seemed enchanted. Their planet, tidally locked to its red dwarf star, had evolved life forms with remarkably slow metabolisms and reproductive cycles. Nothing on their world reproduced quickly, an evolutionary response to the planet's limited resources. "We will cherish these rabbits in our sanctuary biomes," the High Arbiter clicked through her translator. "Such fascinating movement patterns. So quick." Fletcher departed Proxima b, congratulating himself on humanity's first successful gift exchange. The rabbits, a breeding pair specially cleared by Earth's xenobiologists, had been certified disease-free and declared ecologically insignificant for Proxima's alien ecosystem. 3 standard months later, the emergency transmission reached GDC headquarters. "Require immediate assistance." The High Arbiter's mandibles clicked frantically. "The Earth organisms have escaped containment and are consuming all plant life in Biome 7. They're everywhere." Fletcher watched in horror as the footage showed warrens of rabbits, hundreds of them swarming across the carefully maintained ecosystem of Proxima b. The rabbits had discovered that the slow-growing Proximan flora had no evolutionary defenses against rapid herbivores. With no predators and facing plants that couldn't regenerate quickly enough, the rabbits had multiplied exponentially. "How many did you say you released?" demanded the Galactic Ecological Emergency Committee chair. "2," Fletcher whispered. "Just 2. The containment operation required a joint effort from 17 species and cost billions in galactic credits. Entire regions of Proxima b were quarantined. The native flora, which took decades to regrow, faced extinction in multiple regions. Fletcher received a formal reprimand, and Earth was billed for the damages. It was an honest mistake, Fletcher argued to the council. We had no way of knowing they would reproduce so quickly in that environment. Perhaps, said the Arcturian representative coldly, you should have consulted the extensive galactic database on cross-species introduction before bringing living organisms to an alien ecosystem. Earth promised to be more careful in the future. Ambassador Mira Rodriguez was determined to redeem Earth's reputation. After extensive consultation with xenobiologists and cultural attaches, she selected a pair of specially bred, sterilized Abyssinian cats as Earth's gift to the silicon-based sentience of TRAPPIST-1e. These animals are prized on Earth for their cleanliness, independence, and intelligence, Rodriguez explained as she presented the elegant felines. They're completely incapable of reproduction, and they've been raised on a synthetic diet that matches your planet's biochemistry. The TRAPPIST delegation crystalline beings that communicated through light pulses seemed delighted. On their world, small mobile life forms were rare. Most creatures were sessile or slow-moving, evolutionary adaptations to the heavy gravity. We shall honor these elegant beings in our high temple, the prime facet communicated. Their movements will create new patterns for our meditation rituals. Rodriguez reported back to Earth, mission accomplished. The cats were sterile, trained, and unable to disrupt the ecosystem through reproduction. What could go wrong? 2 weeks later, GDC headquarters received another emergency transmission. The cats, it seemed, had discovered that the sacred light dancers, tiny flying creatures that the Trappists revered as manifestations of their deities, were remarkably similar to Earth birds. The felines had systematically hunted them throughout the temple complex, presenting their kills as gifts to the horrified religious leaders. The Divine 13 have fallen silent. The prime facet's transmission pulsed erratically. The Earth predators have consumed our gods' physical vessels. Our people are in spiritual crisis. The incident escalated when one cat somehow accessed the inner sanctum, a holy site where the most sacred light dancers had lived undisturbed for centuries. Security footage showed the feline batting playfully at creatures considered the equivalent of archangels in Trappist theology. The diplomatic fallout was immediate. TRAPPIST-1e filed a formal complaint alleging religious persecution. 3 allied systems suspended trade negotiations with Earth. The cats were extracted in a high-security operation that required Rodriguez to personally enter the temple, an unprecedented breach of Trappist religious protocol, to retrieve the unrepentant hunters. We cannot be blamed for the natural behavior of an animal, Rodriguez protested to the council. You can be blamed, replied the Trappist representative, light patterns flashing in agitation, but for failing to understand that bringing a predator to a world of prey might have consequences beyond ecological concerns. Earth promised, once again, to do better. Ambassador Torrin Blake approached Earth's third major gift exchange with scientific rigor. After the rabbit and cat incidents, Earth's diplomatic corps had established new protocols. Any gift had to be 1. Unable to reproduce. 2. Non-predatory. 3. Beneficial to the receiving species. After months of research, Blake settled on a sealed, self-contained honeybee colony. The bees couldn't survive outside their special habitat, couldn't reproduce beyond the controlled environment, and produced honey, a substance analyzed as harmless to all known sentient biochemistries. These creatures exemplify cooperation and industry, Blake explained to the Syrian delegation aboard the neutral space station Harmony 7. They live in perfect social harmony, each individual working for the collective good, much like the ideals of the Galactic Diplomatic Corps itself. The Sirians' gaseous beings contained in elegant mechanical suits expressed their appreciation through modulated harmonic tones. They were particularly impressed by the bees' dance-based communication system, which resonated with their own vibrational language. The presentation ceremony proceeded flawlessly. The sealed colony was installed in the station's botanical garden as a permanent exhibition of Earth culture. Blake congratulated himself on finally breaking Earth's streak of diplomatic disasters. 3 hours later, alarms blared throughout Harmony 7. Somehow nobody could later explain exactly how several bees had escaped the containment system during a maintenance check. The insects, confused by the artificial environment, had dispersed throughout the station. When a Sirian diplomat attempted to examine one more closely, the bee threatened by the unfamiliar being had stung the delegate's environmental suit. The sting itself was minor. The allergic reaction was not. Sirian physiology, it turned out, was catastrophically sensitive to bee venom. Within minutes, the affected diplomat's gaseous form began to solidify a fatal condition for their species. Emergency medical protocols were activated, but by then more Sirians had encountered escaped bees. The station commander ordered an immediate evacuation of all Sirian personnel. In the chaos that followed, 3 Sirians suffered partial solidification and required intensive medical treatment. The entire station, home to representatives from 27 species, had to be temporarily abandoned, while specialized drones eliminated every last bee. "This is beyond carelessness," thundered the Sirian Prime Speaker at the Emergency Council session. This was nearly an extinction-level event for our delegation. The bees were contained in a sealed environment, Blake protested weakly. We had no data suggesting potential allergic reactions. Because you failed to submit the complete biochemical profile for testing, the Sirian countered. You brought venomous creatures aboard a space station without proper safety protocols. The Council ruled unanimously Earth would pay reparations to the Sirian collective and cover all costs associated with the station's decontamination. Furthermore, Earth would be temporarily suspended from all diplomatic gift exchanges pending a comprehensive review. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Fleet Admiral Zeke Vambra, the oldest serving member of the Council, rose from her gravitic suspension field. Her species, the Noor, were among the founding members of the galactic community, respected for their measured wisdom and historical perspective. 3 incidents, she began, her 7 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme displeasure. 3 catastrophic incidents in less than 1 standard year. Never in my 3 centuries of service have I witnessed such consistent diplomatic ineptitude. Ambassador Fletcher stood at the center of the chamber, flanked by Rodriguez and Blake. Above them, representatives from over 200 species watched from tiered observation platforms. The chamber's design allowed beings of all physiologies to participate: aquatic species in water-filled chambers, methane breathers behind special barriers, energy beings in containment fields. Honorable Council, Fletcher began, on behalf of Earth, I extend our deepest apologies. These incidents, while serious, were not malicious in intent. Intent is irrelevant when faced with results, interrupted the Proximan representative. Our southern continent remains under quarantine. 16 indigenous plant species are now extinct. The path of divine light remains broken, added the Trappist delegate, crystal facets dimming in sorrow. Our youngest generation questions the very existence of the light dancers they have never seen. Fletcher took a deep breath. We acknowledge these failures. But I must emphasize that humanity's relationship with animal life is complex and ancient. On Earth, we have co-evolved with these creatures for millions of years. They are integral to our cultures, our histories. And that, Admiral Zeke Vambra interrupted, is precisely the problem. You fail to recognize your planet's unique evolutionary history. The Admiral activated a holographic display at the center of the chamber. It showed Earth, spinning slowly, surrounded by data points. Earth evolved in isolation, developing unique ecological relationships unlike any other known world. Your planet experienced multiple extinction events, creating evolutionary pressures that produced species with remarkable adaptive capabilities. The Admiral's voice grew stern, including the capacity to become invasive. The display shifted to show historical footage from Earth's own archives: cane toads overrunning Australia, kudzu smothering North American forests, zebra mussels clogging waterways. Your own history is filled with ecological disasters caused by species translocation, continued Zcambra. Even on your own world, with compatible biochemistry and evolved defenses, introducing species from one region to another has repeatedly resulted in catastrophe. Fletcher felt his face flush with embarrassment. How had they missed this obvious parallel? Earth species evolved in a uniquely competitive environment, the Admiral continued. They reproduce faster, adapt quicker, and survive more efficiently than equivalents from most other worlds. This makes them, all of them, potentially catastrophic when introduced to unprepared ecosystems. The council chambers erupted in overlapping communication as hundreds of species processed this information. Fletcher realized with sinking dread that Earth had inadvertently confirmed the worst fears of those who had opposed their admission to the galactic community. 3 standard days of deliberation followed. Earth's delegation watched anxiously as the Council drafted what would become known as the Terran Containment Directive. When the final vote came, it was unanimous, including Earth's own representative, who recognized the wisdom of the decision. Admiral Z.K. Vamber read the directive aloud. Effective immediately, no living organism originating from planet Earth may be transported beyond the Sol system without specific exemption granted by the Council's Xenobiological Safety Committee. All diplomatic, scientific, and cultural exchanges involving Earth must exclude biological specimens. Earth-based commercial enterprises are prohibited from trading in living Terran organisms. Fletcher stood at attention as the final provision was read. Furthermore, to prevent similar incidents, Earth representatives will establish an educational program for all human interstellar travelers regarding the unique evolutionary characteristics of Earth life and the dangers of biological contamination. The directive wasn't as severe as Fletcher had feared. Earth wasn't expelled from the galactic community. Trade would continue. Cultural exchange would proceed with modifications. 6 months later, Earth hosted its first post-directive diplomatic reception. Instead of living animals, the exhibition featured extraordinary holograms, incredible sculptures, and interactive virtual experiences showcasing Earth's biodiversity. The presentations were a tremendous success, allowing other species to appreciate Earth's remarkable evolutionary heritage without risk. These synthetic representations are actually more informative, Ambassador Exays. KT told Fletcher as they observed visitors interacting with a virtual coral reef. We can see the organisms in their natural habitat, understand their relationships, appreciate their beauty, all without danger. Fletcher nodded, finally at peace with the new protocol. Sometimes good intentions aren't enough. We needed to learn to share our world safely. As the reception concluded, Fletcher noticed a Denebian trader speaking quietly with a junior human diplomat in a corner. He moved closer, catching fragments of conversation. Completely harmless, miniature version, special containment, no one would know. Fletcher cleared his throat loudly. The junior diplomat jumped, looking guilty. Ambassador, I was just explaining our strict adherence to the Terran Containment Directive, I hope, Fletcher interrupted pointedly. The Denebian trader shifted uncomfortably. Merely academic interest, Ambassador. The concept of pets is fascinating to my people. After the trader departed, Fletcher addressed the entire Earth delegation. I understand the temptation. Other species are now fascinated by what they cannot have. There's already a black market forming for Earth organisms, harmless ones, of course. He looked each diplomat in the eye. But we know better now. There are no harmless transfers between worlds with different evolutionary histories. The directive doesn't just protect them from us, it protects us from our own good intentions. Later that evening, Fletcher received an anonymous tip about an unauthorized transport preparing to leave Earth with a cargo hold containing 20 domesticated Earth species destined for collectors across the galaxy. As galactic security personnel raided the ship, Fletcher couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Earth animals had become the forbidden fruit of the galaxy, dangerous, exotic, and precisely because they were banned, more desirable than ever. The Galactic Council had been right about Earth life being exceptional. They just hadn't anticipated how that very exceptionalism would create an entirely new problem.